Welcome to Friendship Friday. My name is Mark Long, rector of the parish of St Andrew in Newlands, Cape Town. My apologies that there was no Wednesday walk this week, but life, I'm afraid, just got rather full. Today, I'd like to reflect a little around just our experience of the virtual world. One of the challenges of lockdown is that or the COVID pandemic and subsequent lockdowns, is that we have been driven to find other ways to live our lives. And that's true not just of our personal lives, but also of the manner in which we worship and the manner in which we meet and gather and consider community. Previous to COVID, worship in particular for us was often very tied to a building, to gathering physically into a place. And I think much of what we considered and just the way we thought was very much kind of restricted to that sort of space. May not have been specifically a church building, but it may have been a Bible study held in someone's home. It may have been gathering somewhere just to be together and to have fellowship. But it always was something very physical. Since lockdown, we've been driven into what we term the virtual world, a digital world, one that connects us via the technology at our service these days. Zoom. Right now, this is being recorded on the Zoom program and will be uploaded to YouTube, and you will watch it either on your computer or perhaps on an iPad, tablet, a phone. Very different to what we would have certainly been doing 20, 50, and definitely 100 years ago. But we need to begin to reflect on how does this new world engage with and interlink with where we've come from and where we're going. There's a kind of a hope, and I even catch myself saying, well, when we get back to, and of course, I don't think we are going to get back to. I sat in a webinar yesterday with people from a number of different church backgrounds, reflecting on how they've been engaging with their church communities over this time. And all of them were saying that they would never go back to exactly what we had before. There will probably be some hybrid of what we knew and what we now know. So life will look different going forward. The reality is that we all want to gather and have the freedom to gather in person again. But we've discovered the wonderful joy of being able to connect in different ways. And here at St Andrews, our Sunday service, it doesn't really matter where you are. You can link in and you can participate and you can be part of what we're doing together as a community. Separate from our homes, our holiday places of holiday. If we're away on work, we can still kind of connect in. We've had previous parishioners who now in South Korea, Australia, some of my family from the UK have been joining in. And it's been a wonderful sense of just gathering that wider community together. People have mentioned that they've really appreciated seeing each other in worship face to face. Being able to click onto gallery view and just see everybody spotted around the screen. Instead of sitting in a church, and ours is one of those churches which is in rows, and sitting and just seeing people, the back of people's heads in front of you. So some people have actually discovered amazingly a greater sense of intimacy in this virtual environment in terms of being in the midst of worship than they may have felt sitting in a pew looking at the back of someone else's head. And so we need to reflect on that because it may impact on how we want to set up our church buildings going forward, that we want to create, and we've spoken in the past about creating worship in the round. Church like ours here at St Andrews is a bit difficult to move the altar into the middle of the building, but perhaps there's room to do something like that, so that as we sit in our pews, we actually look across and are able to make eye contact with another human being on the other, in front of us. So those are just some of the things. Part of a conversation I was part of this morning is around just how we consider the kind of theology and praxis that goes with Holy Communion. The concept of the one cup, the importance of being able to share together, and not to be individualized, but to be reminded in our Eucharistic environment that we are the body of Christ, and we're united in that. And some of the ways we've been doing things, the virtual world has challenged us to think more deeply about how we approach our thinking around Holy Communion, Bible study, and other things. Previous to lockdown, again, we would have perhaps said that really together virtually for a Bible study just wouldn't work. But of course it has worked, and it's worked well. To actually meet for worship virtually wouldn't work. It has worked, it's worked well. But having said that, again, as we've begun to engage in in-person services, there's something wonderful about actually seeing people in 3D once again, to be able to walk around each other and not just to have the flat screen in front of us. And so the temptation is to say the way we did things, that's the right way, that's the only way. But actually we're learning that we can do things, we're finding meaning in what we're doing. And the challenge will be how we develop that going forward into the future and what that actually looks like. And rethinking our theology, the way we think about God, the way we think about relating to God, the way we think about being community, all of that needs to be encompassed in that space. And I would love to hear from you. There's an opportunity with these videos on YouTube to comment. And it would be lovely just to have your comments about how you're experiencing the change that these last 7 or 8 months have brought about. And what some of your thinking is about what would be useful in developing and enhancing your experience of faith and your experience of fellowship, and what you would like to see as part of our future journey together. So I do encourage you, please find ways to comment. Of course, send an email, send a text. Those are all possible. God bless you.